Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. One thing I also wanted to talk about, WV's West Virginia's odds to win the Big 12 were just released. So currently now, West Virginia has the 4th best odds to win the league at a plus 800 on Bet Rivers Sportsbook. The 3 teams ahead of them, Oklahoma makes sense. Texas, okay. Oklahoma State, I would assume Baylor. I don't know why Baylor's not. I would put Baylor over Oklahoma State, but that's just me. So here are the full odds for the Big 12 title. Okay. Oklahoma at plus 150, Texas at plus 225, Oklahoma State plus 700, West Virginia plus 800, Baylor right below us at plus 1200. I'm not going to go through all, but then you got Iowa State, TCU, Kansas State, Texas Tech, and Kansas at the bottom, which makes sense. I'm surprised Texas Tech isn't a little higher than that. I'm surprised Iowa State isn't higher. But man, that's what I don't think. If JT Daniels doesn't transfer, I think we're right down there with Kansas. I'd take the bet just to do it, but that's a JT Daniels effect, man. 4th. And I mean, if you look at these teams above us, how we talked about, how is Oklahoma going to be losing a coach, losing some quarterbacks, losing some players? I mean, they've been hit by the transfer portal as hard as West Virginia has almost. And then you got Texas, who I'm surprised is that high on the list. I mean, I know they got some additions, but I don't know. Oklahoma State, I could see that being up there. Like I said, I'm surprised Baylor, Iowa State. It's going to be tough, but we can definitely compete for it this year, which is crazy. Because a month ago, I think when Harry was still on the show, we talked about it, man. And we said, no way. Like, we were positive last year and it bit us. And we were being more realistic this year. And I even asked Harry, I said, with Oklahoma losing all this, what do you think? He said, Oklahoma's still Oklahoma. And that's true. They could be. But boy, last season, we should have won that game if we didn't have Jared Day. I mean, that Oklahoma game, I was close. And now you had JT Daniels. They lose their coach. They lose their quarterback. This could be the year finally, guys. We're about to see. I'm excited. I thought I was excited last year. I'm really excited for West Virginia this year. And I try to temper myself because every year I get excited and every year they hurt me to my soul. But I think you got to be excited, right? Like, can you not be with JT Daniels, with Graham Harrell's offense coming in? It's hard not to be excited. I don't know. Am I getting to? I mean, you guys know the plight of the West Virginia fan. We've been here. We've lost the big games. And I mean, in the Rich Rod era, man, we were up there, and then we lose the big games. In the Will Greer era, a lot of those games we're supposed to win, and I don't know. We've been there. So this is going to be a pivotal year for Neil Brown, though. You got JT Daniels. You have your class. You've built your team. Graham Harrell's here. And one thing we haven't talked about, which I think is worth mentioning, if you're Neil Brown, I don't know if you're on the hot seat, but you got to be thinking right now, with Graham Harrell sitting behind you, who's one of the best and most widely sought after offensive minds in the game right now. If you're not good and you're not putting results up finally, seems like it would be very easy to slide Graham Harrell into that head coaching spot. Because I think pretty soon, especially if he has a good year here, there are going to be teams calling him, if they haven't been already. I think there'll be teams calling him for a head coaching position. So I would keep an eye on that if I'm Neil Brown. We got to have a better record. We can't have the same record as last year. We can't do another sideways move. We moved sideways this season. Although, I don't know. See, when you look at it, you're like, did we improve because we were in a lot of these close games? We were one touchdown away or one stop away from beating Maryland. We're one touchdown or one stop away from beating Oklahoma. We were in these close games, we talked game, and we just lost them. So in a way, it looks like an improvement. But on the flip side, you could say we lost those games because we were up and we were one touchdown hold away from winning that game, and we lost it. We lost Maryland. We lost Oklahoma. So you can look at that either way. You could see it as an improvement from the last season, even though we've had, like, I think it was the same record. I don't know. COVID year got me all mixed up, man. I'm still trying to figure out what year it is. But this last season from the previous season, lateral move, record aside, it was a lateral move. We didn't progress. So you could either look at it and say, okay, you almost beat Oklahoma, you almost beat Maryland, you had these close games, we improved. Or you could look at those games and say, we blew those games. That's terrible. It can't be done, you know. And if you win Maryland and you win an Oklahoma game, not even the Oklahoma game, you win Maryland, it's a very different season. And we're going to have that chance again this year. You open at Pitt. And this is a game I think is very similar. Pitt is definitely a better team than Maryland. But they lost their quarterback. They've lost some transfer portal stuff. You got JT Daniels. You got Graham Harrell. So this is very similar to the Maryland game, where it's not a guaranteed win, but it's a game you could win. So when we're looking at that game, this is a lot like Maryland, where it can shift the season instantly. You lose that game like you did the Maryland one, and then you're skating in those first few weeks. Now, what's your record? Or you win that game and then you build on it. So we're going to find out very quickly this season what kind of season West Virginia is going to have, I think. I think that Pitt game is going to tell us everything we need to know, just like the Maryland game did. Just like after the Maryland game, you saw me and Harry's faces on here the week after, stunned that we lost that game. And then we had the gimme game the next week. And then I don't know the schedule in front of me. I think we had Oklahoma week 3 we look for. We lost that game that we should have won and was close, and we were stunned again. I think you're going to see the same thing this season if we don't beat Pitt. Are we going to beat Pitt? We can beat Pitt now. With JT Daniels, I believe we can beat Pitt. So we're going to find out, guys. We're going to find out very quickly if this team is going to improve. Yeah. We'll look at the schedule when we get closer. I don't want to pull that up now and get into it, but I like the odds. 4th best. You know, I think that's I may have us a little lower. I may put Baylor and Iowa State up there above us. I may move Texas down below us. I don't know if I agree with that. But we're right in there. We said it a couple podcasts ago, a couple months ago. There's been a lot of turnover in the Big 12. West Virginia obviously has the addition of JT Daniels and Graham Harrell. Oklahoma lost a coach. Some teams have lost players. Some teams have gained players. There's been some shuffling going on. This is anybody's league this year, guys, except maybe Kansas. It's not Kansas's league. But other than that, this is anybody's league, and I think it's really up for grabs. I think we saw last year in college football in general, there was more disparity than we've seen in any other year. These weren't just these 4 top teams holding the entire college football. It wasn't just 2 teams holding the Big 12. The Big 12 last year was largely up for grabs until the last few weeks. College football, you had Cincinnati, Michigan, Michigan was up there last year. Michigan State. You had so many teams battling for a top spot last year, and you still had the teams up there. You still had Alabama, whoever, but it was up for grabs. And I think this year, especially in the Big 12, we might see it even more than last year, where this is really anyone's. Like, I could see Oklahoma winning again because they're Oklahoma. I could see Texas taking this. Oklahoma, I don't know about Oklahoma State, Texas out. Actually, well, Texas, I think, got some big moves. I got to look more into that. We'll investigate them more when we get closer and we break down the schedule. Texas could win it. West Virginia, Baylor, Iowa State. I mean, I see 6 or 7 teams right now that could win the Big 12, honestly. Like, I think Iowa State's odds are better than plus 1,400. I think Baylor's odds are better than plus 1,200. A lot of these teams, I would put even odds. I know they were not going to do that for the sports book, but yeah, plus 800 for West Virginia. I might have to take that bet. I mean, that seems like good odds. Put $200 on that baby. Yeah. Or $200. You'd have to put $800 on it. Never mind. But yeah, anybody's game, really. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though. So we'll find out quickly when we see Pitt week 1. I'm excited the next few weeks to see if we get more news from the transfer portal. West Virginia had a 5-star recruit visiting Sunday, I think, or this weekend or Monday. So we'll get some news from that soon. see, we got good things coming, guys. This is very exciting for West Virginia. I was more excited than I am last year. And last year I thought I was excited, but I wasn't excited. But we'll see.